In a speech delivered in Brooklyn, Donald Trump, the 45th and now current President of the United States, addressed the future of American democracy with a blend of bravado and populist rhetoric reminiscent of a tumultuous political landscape. His words echoed in the historic backdrop of Athens, the birthplace of democracy, where I reflected on the profound implications of his remarks from a contemporary perspective. Trump's inaugural address was punctuated with themes that resonate deeply with the foundational tensions between the will of the people and the principles of a virtuous republic. Echoing classical political thought, he navigated the delicate balance between democratic participation and the perils of mob rule, a concern articulated by Aristotle centuries ago. Republics decline into democracies and democracies degenerate into despotisms, a cautionary note from Aristotle loomed large as Trump spoke. In a notable shift from traditional oratory, Trump's speech was characterized by a fluid yet subdued delivery. Observers noted his apparent disinterest in the ceremonial aspects of the inauguration, potentially signaling a message coded for an audience eager for change. His predecessors, particularly those from the Democratic Party, appeared diminished in his presence, a visual representation of a political landscape reshaped by his return to power. The effectiveness of Trump's communication style cannot be underestimated. While critics might dismiss his syntax and unorthodox phrasing as signs of a lack of seriousness, they mask a strategic acumen. His ability to connect with his audience, leveraging the disruptive capabilities of modern digital communication, has transformed political discourse. As he noted, "We will do it at a level that nobody has ever seen before," indicating a readiness to assert executive power in a manner that challenges traditional democratic norms. Central to Trump's narrative was a declaration of a new golden age for America, a familiar refrain in his political lexicon. This aspirational populism, as described by Yascha Mounk, frames America as a nation on the precipice of greatness once more. Yet beneath the surface of this optimism lies an underlying jingoism and a retreat from the internationalist stance that previously characterized American foreign policy. Trump's populist agenda is intricately tied to his vision of a national revival, one that he framed as a necessary reaction against a radical and corrupt establishment. While he promised swift action to implement his policies, the implications of such speed on governance raise critical questions about the balance between decisive leadership and the deliberative processes essential for a functioning democracy. Speed kills. A phrase often used in the context of hasty policymaking, serves as a reminder of the potential consequences of bypassing legislative compromise. Moreover, Trump's call for a revolution of common sense aims to reshape not just policy but the very foundations of governance. This approach challenges the checks and balances that have defined American democracy, favoring a model where executive actions take precedence over legislative processes. The historical context is crucial here. Trump's philosophy builds on a tradition of executive overreach that has been adopted by presidents across the political spectrum. Despite Trump's claims of a unifying agenda, the reality is starkly different. The divisions within American society are pronounced, and his assertion that common sense is not so common reflects a troubling trend toward majoritarianism that disregards minority rights and perspectives. The polarization of political discourse, coupled with the rise of illiberal democratic practices, raises concerns about the future of American constitutional democracy. In parallel to Trump's ascendance, progressive voices have risen in opposition, emphasizing the need for unity among those who resist his agenda. Events like the recent People's March, attended by figures such as New York City public advocate Jumaane Williams, exemplified the growing discontent with Trump's leadership. Williams, acknowledging the fears and anxieties prevalent among citizens, called for solidarity in the face of adversity, underscoring the importance of community in turbulent times. As we move forward, the consequences of Trump's policies, particularly in education and governance, will unfold. His administration's early actions to defund public schools and dismantle educational equity programs signify a departure from commitments to equal opportunity for all students. Critics warn that such measures could exacerbate existing inequalities, raising alarms about the long-term impact on American society. In conclusion, Trump's inaugural address and the subsequent political climate illustrate a pivotal moment in American history. The tension between democratic ideals and authoritarian impulses is palpable, as is the necessity for vigilance among those who champion a more inclusive and equitable vision for the nation. As the discourse evolves, the ultimate question remains: can American democracy withstand the forces that threaten to upend it, and will the resistance be robust enough to reclaim the narrative of a nation built on the principles of liberty and justice for all? The coming years will undoubtedly be crucial in answering this question as both sides of the political spectrum grapple with the challenges ahead. In a striking turn of events, New York City Mayor Eric Adams has ignited controversy by actively courting support from the Republican Party, particularly aligning himself with former President Donald Trump and right-wing media figures. This unexpected pivot has raised eyebrows and sparked debate over the motivations behind Adams' actions, especially as he faces significant legal challenges of his own. Adams, who is currently grappling with 5 federal criminal charges, recently made headlines for attending Trump's inauguration and participating in a lengthy interview with Tucker Carlson, a prominent voice in conservative media. Critics argue that these moves signal a desperate attempt by the mayor to secure a presidential pardon from Trump, thereby prioritizing his personal interests over the welfare of the nearly 8 million New Yorkers he represents. He seems eager to ask Trump to absolve him of his alleged crimes. "Once again, New Yorkers are the ones who suffer," remarked Sarah Pequeño in a scathing opinion piece for USA Today. In his conversation with Carlson, Adams expressed discontent with the Biden administration, particularly regarding immigration policies, revealing a significant disconnect between his position and that of the Democratic Party. Since 2022, New York City has welcomed over 225,000 migrants, a move that has put immense pressure on local resources. Adams lamented, "The party left me and it left working-class people," suggesting that his frustrations with the Democratic Party are rooted in what he perceives as its failure to address the needs of its constituents. This alignment with Trump has not gone unnoticed, raising concerns about Adams' commitment to the values of the Democratic Party and the voters who backed him. Historically, Trump has struggled to win broad support in New York City, where the majority of voters lean towards Democratic candidates, including Kamala Harris in the recent presidential election. Adams' attempts to cozy up to MAGA supporters could have serious repercussions for his re-election campaign, with numerous challengers already eyeing his position. As Adams navigates this precarious political landscape, the implications of his actions extend beyond New York City. The Republican Party under Trump's influence is contemplating significant cuts to federal safety net programs, potentially affecting many working-class voters who initially supported Trump. The proposed changes aimed at offsetting tax cuts for the wealthy could jeopardize essential services for low-income families, creating a rift between the party's agenda and the needs of its constituents. In a broader context, Trump's administration is reportedly gearing up for another term marked by aggressive cuts to healthcare, food assistance, and housing aid, which could disproportionately impact those who helped elect him. The tension within the Republican Party is palpable as many members grapple with the reality that their proposed policies may harm the very demographic they seek to cultivate. Amidst this turmoil, a notable development emerged with Republican Congressman Andy Ogles introducing a resolution to amend the U.S. Constitution, allowing Trump to run for a third term. While the likelihood of this amendment passing is slim, it underscores the loyalty Trump commands within the party and sets the stage for a potentially transformative political landscape. As the political climate continues to evolve, both Adams and Trump face critical junctures that could define their legacies. Adams' flirtation with republicanism, coupled with the looming threat of safety net cuts, presents a complex tableau for New Yorkers and the broader electorate. As the November elections approach, it remains to be seen how these dynamics will shape voter sentiment and influence the future trajectory of American politics. In a closely watched political maneuver, Pete Hegseth has successfully navigated a key hurdle in his bid to become the next U.S. Secretary of Defense. The Senate voted 51 to 49 to advance Hegseth's nomination, a decision that comes amidst a backdrop of significant controversy and opposition from both sides of the aisle. But he remains optimistic about Hegseth's prospects. The contentious vote saw two moderate Republican senators, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine, joining the Democratic caucus in opposing Hegseth. Murkowski articulated her concerns regarding Hegseth's judgment, citing behaviors that are unbecoming of someone who would lead our armed forces. Collins echoed similar sentiments, specifically questioning Hegseth's past remarks suggesting women should not serve in combat roles. Although Hegseth attempted to clarify his stance during his confirmation hearing, Collins indicated she was not convinced that his position had truly evolved. Furthermore, the nomination process has been complicated by an affidavit from Hegseth's former sister-in-law which alleged a history of erratic and aggressive behavior, raising serious questions about his suitability for the role. Hegseth's ex-wife, however, has publicly stated that there was no physical abuse during their marriage, adding another layer of complexity to an already fraught confirmation process. As the vote approached, the atmosphere was tense, with several Republican senators remaining undecided. Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina indicated that while he leaned towards supporting Hegseth, he was still examining the allegations against him closely. "I have yet to find one instance of a first-hand account with corroboration to support the allegations," he noted, emphasizing the need for thorough due diligence. The final confirmation vote, expected to occur shortly, remains uncertain. Should 4 Republican senators align with all 47 Democrats, Hegseth's nomination could fail. Wicker has hinted that Vice President J.D. Vance may need to step in to break a potential tie, underlining how precarious Hegseth's position is. Critics, including Senator Jack Reed, have raised alarms about the thoroughness of the FBI's background check on Hegseth, claiming it was rushed and incomplete. Reed's assertion that the FBI has had to provide additional briefings on Hegseth's background signals ongoing concerns about the nominee's qualifications and the integrity of the vetting process. As anticipation builds for the final vote, the outcome will not only determine Hegseth's future but also reflect the broader dynamics of the Senate and the ongoing challenges faced by the Trump administration. In a polarized political climate, Hegseth's nomination encapsulates the friction between traditional party loyalties and the pressures of public scrutiny. How the Senate ultimately decides could set the tone for future confirmation. Congressman Glenn Grothman, Republican, Wisconsin, has announced his committee assignments for the 119th Congress, reaffirming his commitment to address key issues affecting his constituents in Wisconsin's 6th District. Serving on 4 prominent committees, including the House Committee on the Budget, the Committee on Education and Workforce, the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, and newly the House Judiciary Committee, Grothman is poised to influence a range of policy areas. As the newly appointed chairman of the Subcommittee on Healthcare and Financial Services, Grothman will wield considerable authority over critical areas such as federal healthcare policy, food and drug safety, and monetary policy. His oversight will extend to federal entitlement programs and tax policy, underscoring a pivotal role in shaping legislation that directly affects the American populace. It is my privilege and honor to continue serving the people of Wisconsin's 6th District on 4 prominent committees in the House of Representatives, Grothman stated, emphasizing his experience on 3 of the 4 committees from previous sessions. Chairman James Comer, Republican, Kentucky, praised Grothman's leadership, noting, "Representative Glenn Grothman is an effective leader of the Oversight Committee, and I am proud to announce his new role as chairman of the Subcommittee on Healthcare and Financial Services." This sentiment reflects the confidence within the Republican ranks as they aim to enhance government efficiency and accountability. Beyond his committee roles, Grothman's responsibilities expand further. He has been appointed as a regional representative to the Republican Policy Committee and will contribute to the House Majority Whip team and the Steering Committee for the Republican Study Committee, which boasts over 170 members. These roles will allow him to play a crucial part in the legislative agenda and party strategy moving forward. In addition to these developments, the U.S. House of Representatives has recently passed bipartisan legislation aimed at improving forest management known as the Fix Our Forests Act. This act, which received broad support with a vote of 279 to 141, aims to expedite environmental reviews for forest projects and bolster resilience against wildfires. This legislative effort, championed by Representatives Bruce Westerman, Republican, Arkansas, and Scott Peters, Democrat, California, signifies a growing recognition of the need for collaborative approaches to environmental challenges. As Grothman and his colleagues navigate these adjustments and legislative efforts, early voting is set to resume for the upcoming GOP primary to fill the vacant congressional seat left by former Representative Matt Gaetz. This election, pivotal for the Republican Party, will see candidates vying for a chance to represent Florida's District 1. The timing of this primary against the backdrop of Grothman's committee assignments highlights the dynamic nature of congressional proceedings where local and national issues intertwine. Looking ahead, Grothman's leadership on critical committees alongside ongoing legislative initiatives like the Fix Our Forests Act positions him and his colleagues to tackle significant policy challenges. As the 119th Congress unfolds, the emphasis on accountability, fiscal responsibility, and bipartisan cooperation will likely shape the legislative landscape, potentially setting the stage for transformative changes in American governance. In a significant turn of events in American politics, U.S. House Republicans have unveiled a new bill aimed at restricting birthright citizenship, stirring debates surrounding immigration policy and constitutional rights. This initiative, which underscores the party's ongoing efforts to reshape immigration laws, is poised to ignite passionate discussions among lawmakers and citizens alike. The proposed legislation seeks to alter the interpretation of the 14th Amendment, which currently guarantees citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil, a principle that has stood since its ratification in 1868. Advocates of the bill argue that it is necessary to curb what they describe as birth tourism, where non-citizens travel to the U.S. specifically to give birth, thereby granting their children citizenship. This bill is about protecting the integrity of our immigration system and ensuring that birthright citizenship is not exploited, stated a Republican spokesperson. However, critics of the measure warn that such changes could have far-reaching implications, potentially stripping citizenship from thousands of children born in the U.S. and undermining the foundational legal principles of equality and fairness. The introduction of this bill comes at a time of heightened scrutiny over immigration policies and their enforcement. According to the Pew Research Center, the U.S. is home to nearly 4.5 million children born to immigrant parents, many of whom would be directly affected by the proposed changes. The ramifications of altering birthright citizenship are profound, with potential impacts on family unity and the legal status of individuals who have lived in the U.S. for their entire lives. In another pivotal development, the U.S. Supreme Court has lifted a preliminary injunction that previously blocked the enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act (CTA), mandating businesses to disclose their beneficial ownership information. This decision has drawn mixed reactions, particularly from small business advocates like the National Federation of Independent Business (NFIB), which expressed disappointment over the ruling. "Today's decision is a setback for small business," lamented Beth Milito, NFIB's vice president. Hopefully, Treasury recognizes the chaos that will ensue by requiring 32 million small businesses to imminently file their BOI information while the constitutionality of the reporting requirements is determined. While the Supreme Court's ruling reinstates the CTA, it leaves the question of its constitutionality unresolved as ongoing litigation continues to challenge the law. The NFIB has called for Congress to pass the Repealing Big Brother Overreach Act, which would eliminate the burdensome reporting requirements imposed on small businesses. Amid these legislative maneuvers, public trust in the judicial system remains a critical issue. The recent discussions surrounding the Supreme Court's interpretation of the law, particularly regarding accountability for high-profile figures like former President Donald Trump, highlight a growing divide in American society. Justice Elena Kagan's remarks asserting that the president was not supposed to be above the law resonate with those advocating for accountability and transparency in governance. As these pivotal issues unfold, the landscape of American policy and law is in a state of flux, reflecting broader societal debates about citizenship, accountability, and the role of government. The coming months are likely to see intensified discussions and potential legislative battles over these matters as both sides of the political spectrum prepare to defend their positions. The implications of these proposals will not only shape the future of immigration and corporate regulation but also redefine the principles of justice and equality in the United States. As lawmakers continue to navigate these complex issues, the outcome remains uncertain. Yet it is clear that the stakes are high for millions of Americans.